When my oldest son was born, I finally understood why people tell pregnant women to get your sleep now. We all think that we have experience in staying up all night. First in school, cramming for exams and writing papers left to the last minute. Then a few years later with friends at parties that end at dawn. And possibly for work, finishing a proposal or report for a 9 a.m. meeting. But all of those scenarios have one thing in common: choice. Having a newborn baby in the house can traumatize even the most easygoing of novice parents. You once thought you had control over your life, and maybe you still do in a broader sense, but on a minute-to-minute basis, you have no idea what the evening holds in store for you, let alone the next few weeks. Night and day blur, and your sense of time is so completely thrown off that you wonder if your existence will forevermore be nocturnal. It's kind of a mind fuck. One of my strongest memories of those days was pacing the hallway with my baby Oliver, who was screaming for no particular reason I could discern, and saying to my husband, "And some people have more than one of these at the same time." I honestly don't know how they do it. I could never do it. 18 months later, I gave birth to my twins, George and Eleanor. People would see me with my 3 children under the age of 2 and say, "I don't know how you do it." I'd say, "I don't either." We've all been posed with the question of how we do it on any number of occasions for various reasons. And when it comes to raising children, there really is only one universal answer: because we don't have a choice. We just kind of have to. Choices come later. Big ones, like how to explain the death of a beloved grandparent to your 5-year-old, or if you should invest thousands of dollars into certain therapies or tutoring programs for your child with special needs. And smaller ones, like if it would make your life easier to pretend that you don't know they are doing something in the other room that you just asked them not to do. Or whether you should let your teenage daughter dress as a Playboy bunny for a Halloween party. I would say no. Some choices take an incredible amount of strength and courage. My grandmother had 2 daughters and a very abusive husband. If anyone had actually known about the level of abuse in that household, they probably would have thought she was weak for staying. A bad mother, because she did choose to stay. But to a 1950s housewife who was herself raised in a dysfunctional family, leaving must have seemed like an impossible choice. My grandmother died when I was 4, and I only have sense memories of her warmth and love for me. She was a sweet lady. Not the kind of woman people think of as strong, just good and kind. But like me, who had limited time with my grandmother, they didn't know her. Recently, my Aunt Jan told me that sweet, unassuming lady is the only reason why she and my mother didn't become lost in the world. No matter how bad things were at home, my aunt said, she gave us integrity. And if you're treated like garbage every day of your life, instilling a sense of integrity in your children is the stuff of superheroes. When my mother graduated from high school, my grandmother made sure that her college was as many states away from that house as she could get. From New Jersey to Indiana, she could do that for her daughter. A decade later, when my aunt wanted to leave home for college, my grandfather raged that she couldn't, scholarship or no scholarship. My grandmother told her that she would go. And when they saw the look on his face, she said to her daughter, "Go upstairs now." My aunt remembers feeling the door vibrate behind her as her father slammed his wife's body into it. My aunt went to college. She saved them, the only way she knew how. That sweet lady I barely knew is one of the most important people, one of the most important women in my life. Because of her, I have a sweet and kind mother who escaped from abuse and raised a daughter who didn't have to grow up fearing for her life. I need only be strong for things like having 3 babies at the same time, or navigating the tricky world of raising a child with special needs, or worrying about my own mother's health and the cancer that has tried so hard to take her away from us. Because of my grandmother, I know that we're all just doing the best we can, that we don't always make good choices, but sometimes we do, and that should count for something. In the end, those good choices may actually save our children. Because of her, I know that strength doesn't have to be loud or obvious to the world at large. It can be quiet and steadfast and based in integrity. I've seen it clearly in her daughters. Because of her, when people say, "I don't know how you do it," I actually know the answer. I know the answer for all of us. It's because we have to, and we have the strength to do it.